Hello everybody and welcome back to another video. I'm your host OT, and today I want to talk about how canon has been twisted and destroyed in Doctor Who. So the meaning of canon is, as per the Oxford English Dictionary 2013, number 1, a general rule or principle. Number 2, a set of writings by a particular author that are regarded as genuine. And then the other meanings are a member of the clergy. But we're on about the other meaning of canon, which is something that is well established and should not, under any circumstances, be retconned inappropriately, which is what's happened to Doctor Who for many, many years now. And the most infamous one is in the Jodie Whittaker era. So I'm not going to first gloss over the Timeless Child. We're actually going to go over the episode with Mary Shelley, because there was a Big Finish story with the exact same historical figure featuring the exact same monster. Apart from Big Finish did it much better. Why? Because the Cyberman was actually presented as a threat, and they were fighting a lone Cyberman as well. Paul McGann was the Doctor, which is a bonus. There was no other annoying companions around, or as they called it, the fam. And Mary Shelley actually became a companion, leading on to a few other successful stories. And of course, this would inspire her to create Frankenstein. And she also, the Big Finish in the boxes had a diary entry in the little booklets, which made Mary Shelley's run even more special. And although it was short and sweet, she actually had a good reason for leaving the Doctor. Whereas Mary Shelley in this, oh, I'm a generic historical figure guest star. Oh, look, that monster looks good. I'll write a story about it. Which is exactly what they did with Big Finish, only they did it much better. The biggest retcon is, of course, the Timeless Children. And the fact that the Cybermen becoming the Time Lords was already a thing in another comic. Now, it seems like a great concept as well, but it was done in perhaps the worst way possible. But all of these retcons and, resetting the timeline. Oh, this didn't happen, you guys. Big Finish in the comics. Oh, you just ignore all that. That's not part of the TV continuity. That's like Legends from Star Wars. And anything that came out that was pre Dave Filoni, like the novels and the Knights of the Old Republic, that's not canon, you guys. You've got to listen to us. The thing is, established canon is a thing, and it should be taken from any form of media that has been presented. So, i.e. the Virgin New Adventures, I know that they had a few other stories with sharing the same title and premise in the New Who era, i.e. Human Nature. But both the novel and the TV version was written by Paul Cornell. Now, they also did this with Big Finish, where they adapted novels, but that's because they were novel adaptations and the Doctors that were needed. So let's use Damaged Goods, for example. It was a novel by Russell T Davies, and then written for Big Finish by Gareth Roberts, and it featured the 7th Doctor, Chris and Roz. But the Jodie episode with Mary Shelley in wasn't written by Mark Platt. It was written by some woman who obviously has never listened to a Big Finish story in her entire life. Now, other than that, the episode after this, of course, was the biggest retcon ever, being the Timeless Children, where the Doctor is apparently some immortal god and creator of the Time Lords, which made absolutely no sense at all. Another thing in the Jodie era was the Jo Martin Doctor. Apparently, she was the first Doctor, but why was she in William Hartnell's console room And the Doctor never carries a weapon. Obviously, this rip-off Doctor does. Doesn't that retcon the line, I would never... Doesn't that retcon the Doctor's principles of never carrying a weapon in his life? And then we have the entire Thasmin bullshit. Look, fanshippers ruin everything. They've ruined Star Wars. They've ruined The Next Step. Some group of individuals like to ship the Doctor and Yasmin. So does she not... How was she not told her about her marriage to River Song then? You know, River Song is the Doctor's wife. They both had a wedding. Now, another retcon of this era is in one of the crappy Christmas specials or New Year's or whatever, when the Doctor meets Captain Jack again and she's in prison, but a silence is also there, and somehow, after she passes it, she remembers it. That's not how they were done in The Impossible Astronaut and Day of the Moon, or in the other episodes of Series 6. She didn't have an eye drive on. In fact, nobody else did. So what? Now everyone seemingly remembers that the silence are there? That was their main tactic, and perhaps a silent could have escaped. But hell, in 5 minutes he could have used its post-hypnotic suggestion ability to somebody. He could have let him out. And that's how the silence roll, not just generic alien number 6 that looks like the Scream. Also in this episode, they had a mini Dalek civil war, which again happened in the classic era. And the reason for this one is because the pureblood Daleks are hunting the impure blood Daleks, whereas this has already happened in a Big Finish story with Blood of the Daleks. And they did a much better job as well. Hell, same premise for these Daleks as well. Apart from they weren't all looking like Iron Man, they were a different type of Dalek. And then post-Jodie, the 14th Doctor and the Dr. Donohole thing was the worst, one of the worst parts of these specials, because it was already established that if Donna Noble ever remembered her adventures with the Doctor and who he even was, she would be dead. Which was retconned by, oh, look at me, alphabet people. Aren't we great? Dr. Donna is immortal. Yay, I'm God or Goddess or whatever the hell you like to use. You know, it doesn't make any sense how the Dr. Donna thing could be transferred to another individual, because the Dr. Donna was heavily hinted throughout Series 4. But no, Russell T Davies just thought, let's make sure that this other individual becomes this immortal individual Dr. Donna thing and bashes the Doctor for being a man and is an absolute misandrist. And then we have units somehow returning bigger and better than ever. But how was that possible? Weren't they shut down a few seasons ago? And why are they in the Avengers Tower? All their hyper-advanced technology. Oh, look at us. We're the most powerful people in the world. Hell, we could easily take over if we're in the wrong hands. And then the subject of bi-generation, which completely destroys the whole meaning of regeneration, you know. Regeneration in Doctor Who, for me, means the Doctor's dying and he's never seen again. But instead, we have, the Doctor splits in two, and now there are two of them going around the place. And where was the 14th Doctor during the whole Sutek thing? And surely, if there was a threat to Earth, the other Doctor would have turned up, or is he just been left alone to retire? Which brings us to the next subject of post David Tennant return. The Doctor travels through time and space. It's what he's always done. And I don't think he should have retired with the Nobles, because that he doesn't do that. He just goes around time and space and he never stops. And then we have the worst era in Doctor Who history, with the guy from that crappy Netflix show who was never good to begin with. With Rogue, again, it forgets that River Song even exists, because the Doctor is married to River Song, and that the events of Rogue are basically the Doctor cheating on her. And all cheating is bad. You know. And then we go with the season finales being, well, the first one was Sutek, in which he'd already returned in the Big Finish story. And him latching onto the TARDIS since 1970, whatever, is just stupid. I mean, why? How was he not destroyed in several events, like the Pandorica opens or the Big Bang, or hell, when the TARDIS was hijacked by House? Afterwards, with the return of Omega, well, already Omega had returned in a Big Finish story, and the Rani also featured in a few Big Finish stories here and there. Did they consider what happened with her? And then finally, what about the Billie Piper Doctor or whatever? If she's not the Doctor, then who even is she? What happened to the real Doctor? Where on earth is he? You know? None of these stories make any sense, because no one cares about canon and continuity. You know, canon is everything that matters in a story, whether it be on TV, audio, or a book. You have to do your research and consider what is and what is not canon, and you can't just retcon something out of oblivion just for the sake of it. The best example of setup canon that has already been broken is with Disney Star Wars, or Star Wars in general, because pre 2008 Filoni Clone Wars, there was a lot of things that were well established. They had their own expanded universe, they had their own sequels, they had their own Clone Wars spin-off with the Republic Commando game. Knights of the Old Republic worked as the prequels before the prequels. The Force Unleashed gave Darth Vader an apprentice, who later became Starkiller, and even nearly killed him as well. You know, there was an established canon, whereas Dave Filoni just decided to throw all that out and just retcon everything, i.e. Darth Maul died. How the hell would he have survived that fall on Naboo? And how would he have gotten to that junkyard planet, wherever it was? And since then, Disney has ignored everything the expanded universe had built up to that point. So that's why continuity and canon are very important whenever you are consuming or writing your own piece of media. You've got to do your research and you've got to understand exactly what you're writing about.